This digital thing looks like a kind of extraterrestrial insect. I suppose I'm a bit old-fashioned. Hey. Normally I'm the youngest person around. On this retreat, I think that's not the case, hey. So that's good fun for me, for my perspectives to change from being the youngy one to being the oldie one. So welcoming you to this second full day of retreat. I'm really appreciating how the silence is starting to get deeper. I can feel the slowing down in the room. There's been some meditations where you could hear a pin drop. There were moments it was so quiet, so beautifully quiet. So I hope that you're feeling the effects of that, going like really deep, dropping into the bottom of the ocean of our listening. Because that's what we're doing, we're listening deeply in a different way than just our ears. We're listening with all of our senses into our own stillness, into our own softness that's here as a sanctuary in us, as I was guiding yesterday. Also, there's this such different way of being together in silence. We're all here together and getting to know each other in such a different way than when we're all speaking, hey. We're getting to know each other energetically. And this can be so mind-blowing, how fascinating and fun that is to get to know each other in this different way than how we would present normally. This slowing down way, coming out of alarm system. And it can really translate into all of our movements as we slowly open the door, close the door. As we eat a lot more slowly, we also are more aware of when we've had enough. So we don't need to just, I've got to get some food in me, otherwise I'm surely going to die. You actually feel, I've had enough. I could stop eating now. Or I could get some more because I need some more because I've been using this other energy to meditate that actually makes me more hungry. So that deep listening comes into all aspects of the life here, not just when we're sitting in the meditation. And as I was inviting yesterday and this morning into a sensuousness, that thinking mind is just one of our senses, and all of the other senses are there vibrating away all the time. And inviting into the sensuousness is feeling that sensuality of being human. I don't know if you've started to get a little taste of that through the meditations, through the walking meditation. Is that speaking to you a bit, the sensuousness? Like from the senses? Like the senses, seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling. And the sixth sense is the mind. So it's just this kind of, I'm thinking of the French here, reverser la vapeur. How do you say that in English? Turning the boat upstream from just living from just the thinking mind, which is one of the six senses, to giving more space to the other ones. And as we live as sensuous beings on a sensuous planet, no? It's alive out there. It's not It's alive. Hey. It's earth, it's water, it's heat, it's air, it's space. And it's very vibrant. And that vibrancy of aliveness is what I was pointing towards in the deep listening yesterday of hearing the sound of silence. When we listen inside, there can be a slight hum, very subtle humming sound. Like a vibrancy of life, a humming of life that we can listen to deeply. That in my experience, some painters have touched into that. Like I find if you see a Van Gogh painting, I went to a exhibition where there was Van Gogh paintings in the middle of a room of other painters who'd been influenced by Van Gogh. And straight away I could see the Van Goghs without it being written, because there was this vibrancy. It was like he felt that aliveness of life and painted it. And he managed to put that into his paintings, that aliveness. So we're talking about like direct experience of what's happening rather than an idea of life, a concept of how things should be, what we think life is, coming into the direct experience. And that's really what the Buddha was speaking about in some very basic teachings of in the seeing is just the seeing, in the hearing is just the hearing, in the touching is just the touch, in the smelling is just the, so on and so forth. So we're having a direct experience. So when we're meditating and listening deeply, if there's an outside sound, we can just directly hear that sound. And then afterwards maybe the concept comes. Like, oh, car, bird, person next to me doing whatever in their meditation, gurgling or something, It's all welcome in the meditation as tools, In the smelling, just the smelling. So we just receive it as it is before putting concepts and ideas. And it's a practice. And it's a fun practice. And I hope also that you've begun to feel the incredible creative potential there is in this meditation. The infinite creativity. In the different proposals I've been offering for meditation. So there's been a lot of what in classical Buddhism is part of the first foundation of mindfulness. They have all these numbers in Buddhism, because back in those days they didn't have paper and pens and stuff. So they remembered everything through oral transmission. So everything is in numbers so that we can remember, which is quite funny. They didn't have smartphones, hey? They had just their own coconuts. So there's this first foundation of mindfulness, which is where the focus of meditation is first grounding in the body. Grounding, anchoring into something we can rely on here. And then opening to curiosity, to what's happening now. And we can do this through our whole life. In every moment we can be going, what's happening now? What's happening now? What's happening now? And we get distracted. And we fall off. And we get back on. And what's happening now? Grounding again, grounding. What's happening now? With what energy? Listening to our energy. Listening to the amount of effort we're putting in. So I know that I was saying all of this yesterday, but just in case people are still wondering, what do we do in meditation? That's what we do. Yeah. We're grounding. And that moment, for some years when I began meditation, I was always asking the teachers, but when do we go from being grounded to opening, to wide open awareness? And nobody ever answered me, because there is no answer. Because it depends on you, on that day, on the clouds, on the stove, or whatever, you know. There are no rules to it. There's no absolute recipe for when we feel into it. Okay, now I'm grounded enough to open into a wider receptivity of awareness. And then sometimes we go, oh, I need to come back to some more grounding now. Grounding. And then there's also another one of the second foundation of mindfulness, which is awareness of feeling tones, which is what I was speaking of yesterday, of awareness of body sensations of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, or mental states of pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. So today I'll guide more into that, into the feeling tones. We can explore that. But just so you know kind of where we're going with that, that's also, we can be grounding into meditation, anchoring our body into some stillness. And when there's some calm, some steadiness, opening out and inquiring into the body sensations. How are they coming to me? How are they manifesting in me? As in pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Do you see what I mean? So we can open to that inquiry. And I find that practice of just sitting there like this, noticing what is pleasant to us, unpleasant and neutral, it brings a steadiness, it brings a balance to our life. Which is helpful towards not getting overwhelmed by intense emotions, not getting tight and contracted. So we're getting to know freedom from contractedness, freedom from overwhelm. And that is the purpose of meditation, is this freeing our mind, our body, our hearts from what is constricting us, from the boa constrictors. I saw a film last summer that was done by some indigenous elders. And there was someone speaking in it. And they said something along the lines of, so they were Native American speakers, and they were speaking about when the colonialists came on their boats to kind of put their flag and do their thing. And they were speaking of what attitude they came with. And they said the fathers, because that's what they call them, no, in America, fathers? The founding fathers, you know. They came, and in their hearts, it was, we are sin, you know, because they were Catholics. So they came carrying this baggage of, we are sin. And we met them with, we are beauty. So the indigenous people in their hearts, they didn't carry the baggage of I am damaged and I need to sort my life out. It was inherently there is beauty. And this comes back for me really powerfully of the helpfulness of practicing in sensuousness. Sensuousness can be this, touching the floor. It's lovely to be around wood, no? It's very pleasant. Touching my cheek, soft, warm. This is part of our sensuous life. Cup, hard, floor. It's part of it. Skin, touching, plastic, funny thing in front of me, insect from space. Bottom, touching, comfy cushion. Air, touching face. This is the sensuousness. And so when we're doing walking meditation, we can really feel into that sensuous earth. In every step, there's that sensuous human on the sensuous earth. Because it's alive as well. It's not just that we're the only alive ones walking around. We think so. We think us humans, we're the ones, we're the dudes. But out there's a lot of life vibrating. And this is touching into that whole, listening out into this vast, vibrating universe. So not wishing to disregard any wounds that people are carrying. That's just part of our baggage. I'm not disregarding that in speaking of the indigenous, we are beauty. But we are also beauty. And it can be helpful in the first few days of retreat to try and touch into that which is simple, the sensuousness, feeling the ground, the air, the warmth, the solidity, and to let go actually of any agendas of fixing ourselves that might come through a society that's a lot more psychology based nowadays. We all have problems and we all need to fix ourselves, da-di-da-di-da. Sure, we can work on ourselves, but also just the letting go of agenda is helpful for coming into retreat. And then often we find that these things resolve themselves from our relaxing into deep rest, from our deep listening. What we thought was a problem can maybe be a bit less of a problem, or subtly the knots dissolve. Not to banish anything or avoid anything, but not necessarily to be the mechanic trying to fix everything straight away with a big agenda that makes us tense and rigid in our practice. This is a proposition. You can also see what fits you in the best way, hey?